We've seen a lot in St. Louis, but we can't leave without seeing the nation's smallest national park. Come along with us to the St. Louis Arch. It's been over 15 years since my husband and I have been to the St. Louis Arch, and man, has it changed. It has become a national park, and there is a wonderful museum located at the base that we enjoyed for hours. Before we do that, though, we wanted to get in line to get tickets to go up to the arch. It was something I really wanted my kids to experience, even though they were a little hesitant about how high it was and how we were going to get there.
For so many of the pioneers. In 1947, we held a contest to decide what kind of monument we wanted to build. 172 people entered our contest. And apparently, we wanted to build the most difficult monument we could possibly build. The unanimous winner was Finnish American architect Eero Saarinen and this gorgeous arch. The problem was, nobody thought it was possible. Even the people who voted for the design. They picked it because it was the most beautiful. Construction began on an absolute leap of faith. February 12, 1963, and the last piece went in on October 28, 1965. So if you're doing the math, that means it took only 2.5 years to build this.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I know, right? My neighbor's been building a garage for longer. It cost $13 million back then. If anybody wants to go home and start building an arch, it's going to cost you at least $200 million today.
Oh,
There's
wow.
that last picture, guys. I love that
Oh my
last piece.
gosh, that like
That has the time
keystone.
capsule in it.
Oh, that's so cool.
In 2018, we went from being Jefferson National Expansion Memorial to being Gateway Arch National Park. So you're standing in the 60th and the smallest national park in the United States.
We didn't have any troubles fighting crowds because there really weren't any. In our group, we had one other family that was a part of our tour, and so it was really lovely to have a tour guide that we could ask questions to, and she was super accommodating and just very, very friendly. So we really enjoyed our time with her. And this part of the tour before we got into our elevator to go up to the arch was just a history of when this arch was created. In total, it really didn't take long for us to go through this kind of a queue, maybe 20-25 minutes while we watched this video and waited for our elevator turn. And the elevators are quite small. They haven't changed really since the conception and the build of the arch, but I will say they do have a tester elevator pod, I guess, before you go in and down to the elevator loading area. So you can see if you're going to have any issues with claustrophobia or kind of just any kind of anxiety or nervousness. We all went in the elevator just because I think it's really important to have our kiddos feel safe and understand like what it will look like and how it will feel when we get in there. So that was really nice. And then we stood and waited for our turn to go up to the arch. Now I believe it's a 5-minute ride up and a little shorter ride down. But it was really fun. It was very smooth. It's really neat because you can kind of see the inner workings of the arch when you're in the elevator. So yeah, it was really fun and really cool, and definitely not nearly as scary as my boys kind of at first thought it would be. So definite recommendation to just try out that little tester pod first, kind of get your kiddos acclimated to what it is going to be like. And so we were waiting in line for our one particular elevator. They hold 5 people. So we had plenty of space. It was quite cozy, but we were not smished in there. And we are, like I said, a family of 4 with decent sized kids. So it's definitely doable for a small family, a small group. And Like I said, probably max of 5 people. So here we are getting ready to take our ride up to the top.
How does it?
Going up there.
How does the door open?
Just like an elevator.
Yeah.
Just like we normally would.
Just watch your step when you
There'll be some. I'm sure there'll be somebody here to tell us. Welcome. See the oil and the hydraulics for the doors.
There you go.
Locked in place.
Yep.
It's gonna slide open.
There you go.
Welcome to the top. Please exit out of your car. We're going to head up the stairs following the log.
You can see the stadium over there. This is the Missouri side.
See that part called that? See the ball pit area. Oh, and we can see the stadium. Wait, is that the Mississippi River? Mom, is
Yes,
that
yes.
Mississippi? If it's good, it's fine.
This is the Illinois side over here. They said you can see about 35 miles.
Where would
You are at the top of the 630 feet up. Out that way. So cool. To watch a, did you see over here? To watch.
Stay up here for 49 minutes. Wait, are people playing? It's the baseball stadium, dude. Can you hold this? Whoa.
Our group was able to stay up there for about 10 minutes and enjoy views on both sides of the Mississippi. And then after we spent time up there, we took our little short ride down and we decided to try out the cafe that they have. The Arch Cafe has a lot of different options to choose from. And we appreciate that because we have some picky eaters. And so here we are trying to decide what we wanted to eat. And it is pretty typical, I would say, like museum or kind of just like a little bit more expensive prices because of just the nature of where you're at. But we already know that going into it, and we're okay with supporting and kind of eating right on location just because it's convenient. And so after we chose our selections, we found a table relatively easily. And you can see my son had a pretzel. I tried a quesadilla. And so, yeah, the food was good. It was enjoyable. We felt like we were full at the end. And so, yeah, I would recommend eating there. And then we delved into the museum portion, which was really my favorite. It was what I was looking forward to. I love that it's done in a timeline order, which really is helpful for our homeschool lessons. And we are right at the point in our social studies and history where we are finishing up with the Revolutionary War and we are getting ready for westward expansion, which was perfect for this museum because that's exactly what they're talking about. As we all know, the Arch is kind of the gateway to the rest of America from the Midwest, and so that definitely lent itself well for an interlude into our next unit on pioneers and westward expansion and explorers. So we were excited to spend a lot of time here, and we definitely did. I would say at least 4 hours is probably what we spent. Now, you don't have to go through every single exhibit like we did, but I definitely wanted to make sure that we spent a lot of time in this area just because this is how you should learn history, is by trying to be in it and around it and see this interactive exhibits that they have. And I would just say this museum captured our attentions 100%. It was fabulous. This has grown so much in 15 years. I remember when this was just beginning to be a free museum back many years ago, and now it's just expanded into this wonderful free national park attraction. And you can even do the free junior ranger program here, which is fabulous. We were going to start it, but then ended up losing our booklets. I think I maybe accidentally threw them away when we were dumping our trash, and so we just decided to take our time. We did not do the Junior Ranger program here, but it is super cool if you do. Again, always free, which is something I feel like you should never pass up. And yes, so I would say definitely hit this museum. It has literally so much information that I just really appreciated. We ended up even adding on a 3D kind of like a MetaQuest package to our little visit, where we did virtual reality video. It's about a 10-minute video that took you into what the St. Louis area looked like back in the very early stages of like the 1800s, when people are coming over, and it had a perception of a black enslaved worker at the docks. It had a perception of a mother who was just getting off of her ship, and she was an immigrant with children trying to find family members here. So it was just really interesting to kind of be right there in the middle of it all. For about 10 minutes. Like I said, the video was really interesting. We had a great time kind of having that world around us and kind of being right in there. And we actually do have our own MetaQuest virtual reality device, and it really sparked my interest to look and see what other kind of historical videos that we could utilize for education. That's just something I never thought we could do, but it absolutely is something that we should use. So that it could be a video for another day. So anyway, the boys definitely loved learning about this period in history. There's so much history here in the St. Louis area, simply because it is the kind of like the epitome of what you would think of as like the Underground Railroad, with Illinois being a free state and Missouri being a slave state. There's a lot of historical events that happened here with the debate between Douglas and Lincoln. There's just so much in this Midwest area. And so we definitely enjoyed our time here, and I would 100% recommend that this be on your docket of things to do. And then here is a little model of showing the boys how we got up to the arch. It is a little tiny working example of the elevator that we used, the mechanics and the technology that they used to make this happen. It is a combination between an escalator and an elevator, and it was just really cool to see the design process. There's a lot of things I did not know about the construction of the arch, but I tell you what, being there in person and seeing how huge this thing is, it is just astonishing how it was created and how it was finished. And just to learn about the workers that did the work to build this thing. They had no clue how they were going to do it at the onset of the design, and they had to work through that and figure out how they were going to make it happen. And so that in itself is a really cool piece of history. Again, I feel like there was something for everyone in this museum and in the national park. And so with that, we don't have too much left to do on our trip. We are making one more stop to the Illusion Museum, which was the one thing my oldest son was begging to do. And so on our way out and back home to Texas, we stopped by the Illusion Museum. So that will be our final video before we are home again. I hope you join us.